Nice.
All right,
Yeah. Hi. Well, good morning to everyone in Levy County. We're really excited to be here. We've got a great announcement, and we've got a lot of great folks with us here today. I just want to recognize some of them. We have from the Department of Economic Opportunity, Dane Eagle, our secretary. We have the Sheriff of Levy County, Bobby McCallum. Thank you so much. We have Representative Joe Harding from Marion County. From the town of Otter Creek, Mayor Meeks and Town Clerk Mary DeGroot. So thank you guys. Lake County, town of Estatula, Mayor Mitchell Mack, Police Chief Walter Hoagland, and Town Clerk Graham Wells. Welcome. And then from Marion County, we've got Carl Zalak, the Commission Chair, Commissioners Bryant Stone, County Administrator, Munir Boone, sorry if I didn't get that one right, and then Don Westgate. So we appreciate it, and we're excited to be able to make this award today for many communities throughout Florida. Yes, Levy County, but also others. Before I do that, I would just like to say for 1 second, the Biden administration, look, they're not exactly on a winning streak, right? I mean, they've got a lot of problems. They fueled nasty inflation. You look at gas prices, $4.50, $5 a gallon for unleaded, and that's way higher than it was just a year and a half ago. They're not doing anything to alleviate that by doing more domestic energy. They've printed so much money that you have massive inflation, 8.5%, but that's understating it because most of the things that matter have gone up way more than that. You're floundering on the world stage. You have you're shaking hands with the air. You're doing the Easter Bunny. I mean, it's really, it's sad, but it also is really negatively impacting people's lives. And so, as if they don't have enough issues to deal with, they now have an idea, and I honestly thought this was just a belated April Fool's joke, but they are actually going to create, in the Department of Homeland Security, a Bureau of Disinformation. It's basically a ministry of truth. And what they want to do is they want to be able to put out false narratives without people being able to speak out and fight back. They want to be able to say things like Russia collusion and perpetuate hoaxes and then have people like us be silenced. They want to be able to advocate for COVID lockdowns. They want to be able to advocate for school closures, things that are not supported by the evidence, but then when you speak out, they want to stifle dissent. And so we reject this bureau in the state of Florida. We believe it's essential that individual Floridians and Americans are able to speak out against false narratives trying to be jammed down our throats by this regime. We know they actually appointed somebody to lead it who herself has been an advocate for COVID lockdowns, who herself has put out disinformation about the Hunter Biden tapes, who supported Russia collusion conspiracy theories. And so this is not acceptable. And in Florida, we're not going to have it. And so let's get real here. Let's start dealing with issues that people actually care about. Let's stop trying. When you're not doing well, there's two ways to do it. You can try to do better, and so then maybe people will like what you're doing better, or you can try to shut up everybody who's criticizing your bad policies. It seems like they're trying to do the latter. They want to stifle dissent. And I can feel, though, the public is sick of this, and you also see it with Elon Musk purchasing Twitter. They wanted to use Twitter as a way to enforce the narrative. When you do things like talk about things that conflict with what people like Fauci say or whatever, and these are very eminent people who will come out and show how what he's saying is wrong, they will silence, they'll deplatform you, they will censor you. And so that is something for a free society to not be able to speak out on these major platforms where so much speech goes on. That's a huge, huge problem. And Musk saw that. And Musk saw people being censored. He saw websites like the Babylon Bee, a satire site, being locked out because they had the temerity to do satire about some of the transgender ideology. And so what he's doing, I don't think the board wanted to accept the offer, but they had to because financially it makes sense. And we let it be known in Florida, since our state pension fund has shares of Twitter, that we would absolutely hold the board of directors accountable if they breach their fiduciary duty. They've got to do what's right in the interest of the shareholders. They can't reject Musk's offer because they're worried that he's going to open it up and for political reasons. And so I think that shows you there's a lot of momentum now behind having free speech. A lot of momentum so that people can speak the truth, particularly speaking the truth to a very decaying and discredited ruling elite in this country. And so this is going to be potentially an engine where the American people can speak the truth and fight back. But clearly, our entire principles that the country was founded on, you cannot have a ministry of truth in this country. And so let's get real here. Let's make sure that we're doing things to benefit Floridians and Americans, but we're not going to let Biden get away with this one. So we'll be fighting back. And it's sad with, if you look at what we're doing economically in Florida, we have the biggest budget surplus this state has ever had by a country mile. We had in March, they estimate how much revenue comes into the state, and our budget for this current fiscal year is $101.5 billion. We're getting $700 million over estimate, which was what we had in March, and we're going to likely have the same in April. So just from when they did the most recent estimates, you've now taken in probably over $2 billion extra dollars that no one was even thinking about. We'll do May and June as well. And so we're going to end this fiscal year with by far the biggest budget surplus the state has ever seen. And so we're... And part of the reason why we've done it is because we've been responsible. We've protected people's freedoms and kept the economy open, which was a contrast to a lot of other places. We had schools open and all the things that really matter. But we've also understood that we need to be prepared because if I had to bet, I would bet Biden would plunge this country into a recession. Look, I hope that's wrong. I don't want that to go. I want to keep things going well. But if you look at the mismanagement and the bad policies, we've got to prepare for that. And maybe Florida's doing well enough that we would be able to really get through that without having a steep downturn. I don't know. We'll have to see. But when you do what they've done, you are going to have to pay the piper at some point. And so the good news about Florida is we're ready. I have so much in reserve. We just plug. If there's any type of budget hiccup, you just plug the hole and move on. We literally would not have to do anything major to deter us from our approach. And so that's really what good governance is about, making sure that you're looking at what may happen down the road and you're able to react accordingly and protect. So anybody in law enforcement, education, all that stuff, we will make sure that we're meeting our priorities regardless of what's coming down, from the Brandon administration. And so we're good. We're good. And if you look at our unemployment rate in Florida, we actually we're lower than the national average. If you look at jobs, we have more jobs filled today than prior to COVID. There's a lot of states that aren't even close to getting back to where they were yet. And I think that's a testament to the fact that the state's been governed much better than many of those other states. We added in March, we had the largest increase in manufacturing jobs since COVID in Florida. And that's the thing. People talk about some of these other things. I want to make more things in the United States and in Florida. When we have an opportunity... We have an opportunity to really expand our manufacturing base. We have done it over the last 2 years. I've got some more companies, I think, that are impressive that we're going to hopefully be able to bring down here very soon. But what happens is, you're in a community And those are jobs that people that in Florida have access to. You know, they'll talk about moving some tech company here, and they bring the employees, and then they help drive up the cost of living and all that stuff. You know, what about stuff here where our folks are able to benefit? And that's why we've worked so hard on career education and technical education. If you look at what they're doing right now for like truck drivers, they're paying $15,000 signing bonuses just to be a truck driver. Right off the bat, they're paying $110,000 in Walmart to be a truck driver right off the bat. And so we've expanded commercial driver's license opportunities for people throughout Florida so they can go train, get that, and all of a sudden they're giving you a signing bonus. I mean, they didn't used to do that. So these are skills that are in demand. If you look at things like welding and electrical and HVAC, especially in a growing state, there's a huge demand for this. You got kids graduating high school now. They're able to get certifications in these trades. And then they end up going in an apprenticeship, get jobs. Some of them are making $100,000 by the time they're 20 years old. And then a lot of them are starting their own companies as they get older. And so going to a 4-year brick and ivy university is not the only way you can be successful. And honestly, for many people, it's not the best way. You look at how much people have gone into debt, and then they end up with these degrees in things like zombie studies. And then what happens? They end up working where they could have worked out of high school anyways. And I also think what Biden's doing with this, you know, the student debt that's out there, almost 60% of it is graduate school debt. These are people like doctors and lawyers, people that are getting masters and PhDs and all this other stuff. You know, my view is, why would you make a truck driver or a waitress or a construction worker pay off the debt for somebody that did a PhD program in gender studies? That's wrong. And so we have opportunities through skilled trades to have folks with no debt go right into gainful employment and be able to do very, very well. And so from an opportunity perspective, it's important for citizens, but it is huge for our economic development goals, because when companies see and businesses see Florida's committed to workforce, well, then they know they're going to have folks who are going to be able to do a lot of these key things. And so we're going to continue the momentum on that. We think it's something that's very important. You know, we've added 50 apprenticeships in Florida, you know, just in the last couple years. We've, I think, doubled our workforce opportunities from where we were just 5 years ago. We're going to continue to do more and more. So we're excited about that. And some of the stuff we're doing with these awards definitely feed into workforce, and we're going to continue to make sure we're doing well. We also are going to be doing some good tax relief this year. I think it's about $1.3 billion in various types of tax relief. I got to sign this bill. I think they're going to send it to me pretty soon, so we're going to sign that. But that's stuff that's going to help a lot of families. You know, I have a 2-year-old daughter at home who's still in diapers. You actually have a diaper holiday for 1 year, no tax on diapers. So a lot of young families are like, thank you for that. Because, you know, the thing is like, you know, there's when prices go up and inflation, you know, you can kind of cut back, you can change your behavior, but you know, you really can't not do the diapers. It's like, you know, it's a fact of life. It's just, so when my 5-year-old is out, my 4-year-old's out of them. And so, but the 2-year-old, you know, we got a little runway left. And so it wasn't my idea to do that. It was the legislator's idea, but you do that. You know, we're going to have other holidays for tax, like gas tax holiday. We're going to have back to school holiday, disaster holiday. We're going to have a lot of good stuff. And so we're trying to help taxpayers navigate what has been the worst inflation we've seen in over 40 years. So stay tuned on that. Now today, we have great announcement, and I'm glad we're able to be here in Levy County. I'm glad that communities in this part of the state are going to be benefiting, but in reality, there's going to be communities all across the state who are going to be benefiting. And so today, we're able to announce, and we're proud to announce, another $22.3 million for workforce development and infrastructure in local communities throughout Florida. And that includes almost $17 million for rural counties and for small cities in the state of Florida. And this includes, and this includes funding for broadband It includes new community centers. It includes grants for small business development across our state. And so example of what this funding can do here in Levy County, we're awarding $1.4 million to install town-wide broadband internet in the town of Otter Creek. Yeah. So this helps with education, it helps with economic development, but everyone in Otter Creek is going to have access to broadband once we are able to do this, and so we're excited about that. We also have awards across the state. We've got $4.3 million down in Key West. $3.8 million I mentioned for Lake County, Estachula, $3.5 million for City of Hawthorne, $2.7 million for Fellsmere, $1.4 million for Tampa, $1 million for DeSoto County, Marion County, who's here, is going to get $500,000, and on it goes. And so we're happy about being able to do this. We've been able to do a lot in many of these other counties already, and today we're going to do more. Now, we're going to do these checks, and that's great. I'm also going through the fiscal 22-23 budget that the legislature passed. Now, I have not received the budget yet, and I have not signed it, but we're going through. There's individual items in there, and the governor basically has to make a decision. Do you line item veto these individual items, or do you approve the individual items? And so there's actually almost $500,000 in the budget for Levy County Bird Creek boat ramp to add a new boardwalk and 2 new covered pavilions. And so, should I sign it or should I veto it? What do you guys think?
Sign it!
Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, I can also then announce today that when the budget is signed, we will approve the nearly $500,000 for the Bird Creek boat ramp. So you all get that money. So. For sure. Okay, so I'm going to do the check presentations, and we'll do some photos. So Otter Creek, y'all want to come over here and accept it? There we go. There we go. Can you see it?
Step into the light.
All right. All right, Lake County, where y'all at? All right. Okay. Here we go.
Y'all hold it.
All right, there you go. let me follow up. We'll get my press people are here, and we'll get you the information on it. So, yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Julianne with CBS 4 in Gainesville. The Marion County Supervisor of Elections told us it could potentially cost taxpayers thousands of dollars to change the name of drop boxes to the secure ballot intake station. So, what is your goal with the new name change?
Well, first of all, it's inaccurate of what it is. We don't have drop boxes in the state of Florida. You know, some of these places around the country, they'll just have a box like on the corner of a street. Nobody's even watching it. And we have a ban on ballot harvesting in Florida. You should not have ballot harvesting. So you really can't enforce that effectively if someone can just dump ballots into a random box somewhere. So that's just the reality. I think it wouldn't be accurate to say that we have drop boxes, because we don't. What we do have is you can go vote in person, of course. You can request an absentee ballot. They will mail it to you. Now you have to show ID to request that absentee ballot, which was not used to be the case in Florida. Now it is. So that's good. Then you can mail the ballot back at your convenience. That's fine. If you want to drop it off in person, there's not just going to be some random kitty that you drop it into in the middle of town. You go to an election site during normal working hours and you hand it to somebody.
Yes.
To do it. That's the way it should be. So I think that's the right thing to do. And honestly, we will save so much money by not going down the road of what these other areas have done, by having these drop boxes just sitting out there. You know, some of them get lit on fire in California. Did you see that last election cycle? You don't know who's doing it, and it's really, really bad. And that's the thing. The voting is like, it's a secret ballot, right? You go in, you have either a curtain or dividers, and you do it, and then you drop it into the and that's how really it should be. When you do the mail, when you do the absentee, well, you're taking a little bit out of that. So the question is, how do we make that more akin to a secret ballot in the voting booth? And if you can have political operatives come harvesting hundreds of votes, then that's not a secret ballot. You know, that's just not the way it's supposed to be. So I think what we've done has been very, very good. We also are very proud of having banned Zuckerbucks in the state of Florida. Now, not everyone knows what Zuckerbucks is. Zuckerberg from Facebook in 2020, he poured $420 million into these nonprofit groups. And the nonprofits would go into communities that were in important states, and they'd go to the election office and they'd say, hey, here's millions of dollars for you guys. But you got to bring in our operatives, you got to ballot harvest, you got to have mass mail balloting and all this stuff. So they effectively commandeered the machinery of the actual elections. That is wrong. That is not inspiring confidence in terms of having elections with integrity. And so in Florida, we were one of the first states to just outright ban Zuckerbucks. Now, what we found is after we did that, some of the election doctors said, okay, yeah, we can't do Zuckerbucks to run the elections, but maybe we can get Zuckerbucks for like lawsuit expenses or stuff. No. So this year, we added in our election bill, we added a ban on any type of Zuckerbucks, even if it's not for election administration, because it's just a corrupting influence. You know, to basically be having Silicon Valley run your elections in places like Michigan and in Ohio and all these places. You know, it doesn't make any sense at all. So we're happy with what we've been able to do. And oh, by the way, the bill I signed earlier this week we're going to have a new election integrity unit in state government to focus solely on enforcing election laws and prosecuting election laws.
Following up on that, Alachua County, Levy County, a few other counties in the North Central Florida region, there's been reports, we've been reporting on it, of inmates that are registering to vote who may not be qualified, and then they're getting hit with additional election crimes. How does that office kind of either help those people or, you know, to kind of flag it before it gets to the point where they're facing additional jail time?
So the issue is about, you know, honestly, some of these people registering these prisoners, that is wrong, okay? You are not eligible to vote as a convicted prisoner in our prison system, okay? So that's just the reality. I think having a unit in state government that this is their job, I think it's going to deter a lot of violations of law from even happening. Because right now, if something happens and you see something, say you saw someone with 100 ballots dump it somewhere, you call the election supervisor, they're not investigators. That's not their job, so they can't adequately enforce that. But then you call maybe the state attorney's office, but they've got all these other cases. They've got to prosecute murder cases and sex assault and robbery and all these other things. They're not focused on election crime day in and day out. It's just not their specialty. Now, some will take it seriously, others won't. And so I think what we've said is, okay, because we want to have confidence, this is something that's very important. And so you'll be able to report this to this new election integrity unit, which will start July 1st, because the money starts July 1st. And I think that that's going to be something that's going to be very, very good. And if people see that here are the rules, let's follow them, and if you don't follow them, there is going to be consequences, then I think that most people are just going to want to follow the rules. I think when they know that kind of it's the Wild West, well, then that's when people think that they may be able to do some things that are a little bit different. So, yes, guys?
Mr. Governor, what measures are being considered to protect Florida Second Amendment rights?
Well, the one thing that I wanted the legislature to do, and I think we will do it, I can't tell you exactly when,
sure,
but I'm pretty confident that I will be able to sign constitutional carry into law in the state of Florida. We used to be a leader on Second Amendment. There's like 25 states that have already done it, and I think if you look now, you have a situation where the official in charge of these permits doesn't support Second Amendment rights.